Donald Trump has selected Amy Coney Barrett to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. This would give the Supreme Court a 6-3 conservative majority for a generation. Naturally, Democrats and leftists are freaking out as to what this might mean. Many Democrats are warning, however, you gotta be chill on this because we all saw what happened with Brett Kavanaugh. Smears, lies, and insane accusations resulted in something called the Kavanaugh Effect. It riled up Republicans and many moderates to support Republicans and Donald Trump because most people thought what they were doing to Brett Kavanaugh was insane. Unfortunately, Democrats can't control themselves. They have no unified position. So, of course, it was only a matter of time before they fell right into the trap. But what trap was this? Many people were speculating as to whether or not Trump would actually nominate someone, or even if he did, whether the Republicans would actually confirm someone. There were fears that nominating and confirming a SCOTUS this close to an election would backfire on the Republicans. Many others said, no. If they don't nominate someone and confirm them, Democrats are going to be riled up and they're going to run full speed to the ballot box and vote for Democrats. As it turns out, there's something else here. It's going the other direction. In all likelihood, regular Americans are going to run full speed to vote for Trump and Republicans. Why? The Kavanaugh effect. The Democrats and leftists couldn't help but fall right into the trap that was set. Democrats were warning, do not talk about Amy Coney Barrett's adopted children. They couldn't help themselves. They said, do not target her on her religion. People in this country are Christian, and there are many people who are Catholic. They could not help themselves. And now Amy Coney Barrett is being smeared, and it's racist and insane. And of course, Republicans are cheering for a redux of the Kavanaugh effect. So the backfire is kind of already happening and Democrats know it. Whether this will translate into real enthusiasm among Republicans or encourage middle of the road voters to vote for Trump is yet to be seen. We'll have to wait to the election. But I don't even know if there's undecided voters anymore, so I'm not sure how much it matters. I'll tell you this. At least if they confirm a new Supreme Court justice, it will take the wind out of the sails of Democrats because they already lost the battle. But look, people are fired up. Some reports suggest there's like 5% of the population that can be swung left or right. So the battle rages on. Who will win? It may turn out that nominating Amy Coney Barrett, who seems like a very lovely woman, is going to backfire on Joe Biden. Well, not really. I would say the Democrats are going to walk into the trap and end up hurting Biden by coming out. It's the smears that will backfire because people are going to go and vote because they're sick of the insanity. So let me actually break it down for you. I have a couple stories, but before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's many ways you can give. I got a P.O. box, but the best thing you can do, share this video. Republicans are probably happy to hear this, but let it be a warning to Democrats if you're on the left. Now, I don't have a big marketing budget or anything like that, just word of mouth. If you share this video, if every person who watched this shared, I would be bigger than all of these mainstream media companies overnight. And I think it's actually working because my views are doing really well. You guys rock. But that really is the best way to support the channel. Plus, if you think this information is important, it's probably really important for Democrats and Republicans. So please consider sharing. But don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's see exactly what happened. Democrats feel boxed in on strategy for Barrett confirmation fight from Axios. They say, Democrats privately fear that going too hard on Judge Amy Coney Barrett in her confirmation hearings could wind up backfiring if senators are perceived as being nasty to an accomplished woman. Driving the news. Yesterday afternoon, NBC posted a video of Barrett outside her house in South Bend, Indiana, loading 4 of her 7 children, 2 of the 7 adopted from Haiti, and another with Down syndrome into her Honda Odyssey minivan, then driving them all to her Air Force ride to Washington. Good luck, Democrats, a Republican tweeted. Between the lines, Axios says, Senate Democrats recognize the danger. A top Democratic strategist pointed to 3 pitfalls. Liberals mishandling this by boycotting or treating her with disrespect. Senator Dianne Feinstein, top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, screwing it up, someone looking like a religious bigot. One more fear on Barrett. The adoption thing, the strategist added, gotta avoid that. Some liberals tweeted slurs about adoption yesterday and were slapped down. A top Senate Democratic aide said the party has a 3-part plan for avoiding these traps. Healthcare. It's not going to work. You already fell into the traps. It's not about the Democratic Party necessarily. It's about the lack of leadership. And it's about the Democrats not condemning the extremists. I can say it a million times. The extremists on the right get booted out and shoved to the side, marginalized, and they say, we do not want you here. The Democrats won't do it. They won't say Black Lives Matter. They won't say Antifa. And they won't call out, because they don't call out these extremists on Twitter, they just follow along. There's nothing they can do to avoid these traps. And guess what? They fell into every single one. I'm going to show you. But first, let's read more. Healthcare, they say. That's the Democrats' playbook. Focus attacks and questioning on Barrett's views on healthcare, including the Affordable Care Act and reproductive rights. Argue that she'd help take away coverage and protection during a pandemic. This is a lie, and I can prove it. Give the spotlight to Senator Kamala Harris. Stick to issues including labor rights. Democrats also feel boxed in by the calendar and the realities of the Senate. Senate Judiciary Chair Lindsey Graham outlined 4 days of hearings beginning October 12th to 16th, days from the nomination. 24 of the 42 Supreme Court justices who have had hearings were done within 16 days, Graham said. Graham, talking to Judge Jeanine Pirro on Fox News, said he plans to send the nomination to the full Senate by October 26th. That means the vote will most likely be held the week before Election Day. Perfect timing to rile up all of the moderates and Republicans and get them to go vote when this naturally goes sideways. And what seems to be a lovely and accomplished and brilliant woman, Amy Coney Barrett, faces ridiculous smears and attacks. The Democrats' best play would be to straight up respect Amy Coney Barrett. I do not believe they'll be able to do it based on their past history and what I'm about to show you. They say Democrats know there's little they can do to stop any of that. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has the votes. We could slow it down, perhaps hours, maybe days at the most, said Dick Durbin of Illinois, the second ranking Democrat. But we can't stop the outcome. What we should do is address this now respectfully, 100% correct. It's too bad. The Democratic base is pressuring senators to go as far as boycotting the confirmation hearing. Oh, man, if they do this, they're going to lose. But there won't be much of that. The top aide told me that would just speed up the hearing process and give Republicans a free platform to promote Barrett without scrutiny. When Graham was asked on Fox about the possibility of Democrats boycotting the hearing, the chairman chuckled and said, well, it'd make them quicker. Some Democrats on the committee may refuse the traditional courtesy calls with Barrett. However, the more things Democrats do that confer legitimacy on the process, a leading progressive operative said, the less patient progressives will become with them. I am going to now show you what the left believes. I'm going to show you exactly how they walked right into the trap. I was deeply troubled by the things that I see from this individual, Ibram X Kendi, who slammed Barrett, saying white colonizers adopted blacks to use them as props. These people are overt racists. This man wrote a book that is, for a long period of time, I don't know if it's currently, is the #1 book on, I believe, human rights on Amazon. A top-selling book on the USA Today bestsellers list, which is just by hard numbers, and a bestseller overall on Amazon. This guy straight up says the solution to past discrimination is present discrimination. No, we got rid of that. We made it illegal in public accommodation to discriminate against people. This guy is calling for more, and he is insulting and attacking a good woman, calling her essentially a racist. He says these very, very offensive things. I don't even know if I can read, but it was one of the traps Democrats said not to fall into. Do not talk about her adopted kids. But there's no unity. You see, you've got left-wing extremists with psychotic racist ideology, and they are not beholden to the Democratic Party, nor do they like the Democrats for the most part. But the Democrats have embraced Black Lives Matter and this ideology, and now it reflects upon them. So guess what? You can have top-ranking Democrats begging, pleading, but you can't control this movement, these weirdos with crazy racist beliefs. Here's what writes. MEAWW, whatever the website is. Author, historian, and director of Boston University Center for Anti-Racist Research, Ibram X Kendi, had something to say on racism following Amy Coney Barrett's appearance with her children at the SCOTUS nomination event held on Saturday, September 26. Kendi wrote that white people who adopt black children may be racist, and thus joined Democrats and leftists who are commenting on Judge Amy Coney Barrett's adopted Haitian son and daughter. Kendi wrote, some white colonizers adopted black children. They civilized these savage children in their superior ways of white people while using them as props in their lifelong pictures of denial, while cutting the biological parents of these children out of the picture of humanity. He continued, and whether this is Barrett or not is not the point. It is a belief too many white people have. If they have or adopt a child of color, then they can't be racist. He added, I'm challenging the idea that white parents or kids of color are inherently not racist, and the bots completely change what I'm saying to white parents of kids of color are inherently racist. These live and fake bots are good at their propaganda. Let's not argue with them. There is such an insane layer there. Wow, he really caked it on. They're bots. The people who are saying I shouldn't have said that because it's racist are all fake. They're all bots. It's all propaganda. Wow. Imagine that. Amy Coney Barrett living up to the ideals of her religion and being smeared for adopting some kids based on their race. And then this guy calls the critics bots, like robots, like not real people. This is all part of some kind of gang-stalking paranoid delusion where these people think everyone's racist, fascists are everywhere, and everyone they talk to must be a bot because they're the only ones living in the real world. But this is exactly it. This is the kind of insanity that regular Americans are going to be like, nope, I don't want to support that. Okay, and if you as the Democrats won't denounce this and you actively provide resources to these people, and they do, well, then you're a part of the problem. This is the main reason why I don't want to vote for these people. And Donald Trump moved to ban critical race theory, which is exactly what this is. I got to be honest. I think it's entirely likely that this video might get flagged and deranked and demonetized because of what this man said. Well, I have to report on it. He's a best-selling author right now, one of the thought leaders of this far-left movement, commenting on Amy Coney Barrett in exactly the way the Democrats warned not to do. And do you know who agrees with him? Who agrees with Ibram X Kendi is Richard Spencer, probably the most prominent white nationalist in the world. Now, I can say this for Richard Spencer. He's overt, he is upfront, and he is honest with his views. He's not pretending to not be racist or not, believe these things. He's straight up saying, not wrong. He responded to Ibram X Kendi saying straight up, not wrong. Now, if you want to have a discussion with Richard Spencer about his particular views, you can do that. I think there's a lot of the media likes to just use buzzwords to describe people. I particularly don't agree with Spencer or Ibram X Kendi, but I can tell you this. I met Richard Spencer at the RNC, and I asked him what he believed and to explain what his whole thing was about. And he said it's identitarianism. And he actually said to me it's very similar to Black Lives Matter, but white instead of black. So it's no surprise that he would then support Ibram X Kendi. And we can look at it this way. Whether you agree with or disagree with Spencer or Kendi's view on these kids, you have this view from Kendi and many of these anti-racists where they don't view themselves as not racist. They think it's bad to be not racist. Anti-racist. What does that mean? Well, it actually means racist, but they're talking about different outcomes. The problem with this, there's such a thing as benevolent racism. They know this. There's negative and there's benevolent. Negative racism is when you assume negative things and you treat people poorly because of their race. Benevolent racism is when you assume positive things or treat them better based on their race. These are concepts that exist. Ibram X Kendi is a racist. He just believes in a system where he can benefit the people he likes. And by creating equity as he sees it, it's anti-racist. But they still use the exact same methods and they agree with the exact same system. That's why we saw at the University of Michigan, they created like a white-only virtual event. They called it non-POC, but that literally just means white only. And then they had to panic and take it down. Now, I can talk all day and night about leftist identitarianism and intersectionality, of which I am not a fan, or identitarianism as a whole. I'm not a fan of it. And while I'm glad Donald Trump is banning critical race theory. But the next trap the Democrats fell into, religion. My respect and bravo to Vox.com, VOX, a progressive site, for debunking this lie. The false link between Amy Coney Barrett and The Handmaid's Tale explained. They say, on Saturday, President Trump chose Amy Coney Barrett, as we know. Barrett is a devout Catholic. She has written before about her belief that Catholicism should affect a judge's jurisprudence. And Democrats discussed her views widely when she was nominated to the federal bench in 2017. In a moment that has become infamous on the right, Senator Dianne Feinstein declared that the dogma lives loudly within you during Barrett's hearing, a phrase some conservatives took to be an attack on Barrett's Catholicism. Barrett is part of a small Catholic group known as the People of Praise, and that's where her religious affiliations get especially touchy. Some liberals argue Barrett's membership in this group, which teaches that husbands are the heads of families and have authority over wives, signals that she will hand down religiously motivated conservative opinions if confirmed to the Supreme Court, particularly when it comes to women's reproductive freedom and the rights of the queer community. Meanwhile, conservatives reply that Barrett is a high-powered federal judge who is also married, so she can't be all that oppressed by her husband, and that liberal critiques of the way Barrett's religion affect her judicial obligations are nothing more than anti-Catholic prejudice at work. I gotta say, it's a really interesting point that the left is putting around, pushing these memes of The Handmaid's Tale. But the memes are about a woman who's literally going to be sitting on the highest court in the country, a court of 9 people that will have authority over hundreds of millions of people. I do not believe she will be oppressed. If anything, she'll be the oppressor. I guess that's probably how they're looking at it. But it's kind of ridiculous that Amy Coney Barrett, a woman, would be sitting there in the Supreme Court being like, women shouldn't have rights, even though she's there with other women. I really, really don't think so. Now, early on, I read in the Axios article, Democrats fear she's going to overturn all these things. That's probably not true. Why? Well, Amy Coney Barrett believes, and let me just read this for you so I get the language correctly. They say, her scholarship focuses on constitutional law, originalism, statutory interpretation, and stare decisis. This basically means it is a judicial principle that it means let the decision stand. In all likelihood, as it has been explained to me, Amy Coney Barrett will likely defer to past precedent, not overturn it. So the argument from the Democrats that she's going to do all these things, probably not true. But back to the religion thing, now that I kind of debunked that, this is where it gets funny. They say, one of the weirder ways this debate has played out since Barrett was first discussed as a potential Supreme Court nominee is the fight over whether or not People of Praise, this group she belongs to, is also one of the inspirations for The Handmaid's Tale in Margaret Atwood's 1985 dystopian novel. Fertile women are forced to live as childbearing slaves called handmaids. The group isn't an established inspiration for the book, but the story has developed legs anyway. The inaccurate link between the People of Praise and Atwood's story, perpetuated by a series of confusing coincidences and uneven fact-checking, first emerged in a Newsweek article and was later picked up by Reuters. Both articles have since been corrected, but the right was furious at both. The Washington Examiner called it a smear that just won't die. Fox News noted several other outlets have mentioned Barrett and The Handmaid's Tale in the same story. To be absolutely clear, People of Praise is not an inspiration for The Handmaid's Tale, and the group does not practice slavery or any other kind of dystopian practices Atwood wrote about in her novel. But the argument over whether or not the two are connected reflects the deeply contentious atmosphere in which Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court occurs and the immense symbolic weight The Handmaid's Tale carries in American popular culture. Please stop reading books, fiction, and believing it's real life. How many times have we heard, and I know they're not saying it's real, but how many times have we heard they're like, Donald Trump is Voldemort. Read another book. There's more books than Harry Potter. That's the joke, right? Millennials like to say Donald Trump is Voldemort, and now they're saying Ruth Bader Ginsburg was our Dumbledore. Oh, just stop. The Handmaid's Tale isn't real. It's a dystopian movie. We don't go around talking about the Hunger Games when cities like LA and New York want to abolish the Electoral College, right? Because that's what it would be like. big, wealthy capital cities outvoting and controlling the poorer middle American places. We don't scream, it'll be the Hunger Games if they get rid of the Electoral College. No, it's because these people don't know anything. Because it's not reality, okay? It was fake news. And these are the mistakes they made, attacking her kids and attacking her faith and lying. And regular people in this country, believe it or not, are Christian. Some of them are not, very, very devout or orthodox, but some are. Either way, this country is still majority Christian. And while many of these people may be passively, they're probably not going to like hearing these things because it's insulting. We don't like, people have a right to practice their religion. And now we can see what the final third mistake will be. The Kavanaugh effect. Republicans relish a redux. This one has not yet occurred, but I'd be willing to bet it will. And what is it? Well, in about 2 or 3 weeks, when they have hearings and they start attacking and insulting and denigrating Amy Coney Barrett, it will rile people up and they will get angry. What they did to Brett Kavanaugh was horrifying. I don't even know how to explain how horrifying it was to watch this. The man nearly in tears, being accused of these insane things that could not possibly have happened. Like, the first accusation is that he was at a party 30 years ago, a party this woman didn't remember. No witnesses corroborated, and they smeared him and accused him of all this stuff, went through his yearbooks. That's insane. And the guy had already been vetted when he became a federal judge anyway. They then started claiming that he was at parties where women were being drugged and men would line up outside of doors to abuse women. Absolutely psychotic. Not real. Who would believe this stuff? But they did. This made regular Americans angry. Now, look, the tribalist left and the Democrats just don't care. They just hate Trump and they don't want to give him anything. So they naturally went along with it. But regular people were just like, dude, y'all are crazy. How much you want to bet they'll fall into the exact same trap? Now, to be fair, okay, these Democrats, at least the elected politicians, probably will have some kind of unity. The issue we're seeing right now is the lay Democrat, the regular people, and the leftist extremists. No matter how much the Democrats might say, please don't do this, they're going to do it anyway. I mean, Joe Biden's like, stop rioting. The violence is bad. And they're like, we're going to go riot anyway. And that's helping Donald Trump. Some resistance members, I'll do air quotes for resistance, have argued Antifa may as well be wearing Trump stickers and Trump hats because what they do when they go out, and Black Lives Matter, is support Trump by rioting. Well, it's really simple, actually. All you need is a handful of Democrats or Joe Biden to say the extremists flying the flags of Black Lives Matter, I condemn totally. See, you see how I worded this very carefully? Because Joe Biden probably doesn't want to come out and say Black Lives Matter, are extremists. That would probably, make a lot of people angry. But he could say something like, listen, there are extremists flying Black Lives Matter flags. These people should be condemned totally, and they should be told to stop. And the good people and those who support the real movement should stop them. He could even just say that he won't do it. So what do you get? You're going to see the Kavanaugh effect, baby. You're going to see them attack and belittle and smear this woman. I don't think it'll be nearly as bad as what they did to Brett Kavanaugh, because that was wow. But it's already going there. Calling her a colonizer and implying she's racist for adopting these kids. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. He corrected himself. Ibram says, what I mean to say is just because she adopted kids doesn't mean she's not racist. That's still kind of messed up to say, dude. She seems like a fine human being. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a fine human being. In fact, I look to all the Supreme Court justices. They are regular Americans. I mean, there's 9 of them, so they're in a privileged and honored position, that I understand. But when I see someone, like the late Scalia or Kennedy or Roberts, these other judges, Ginsburg, their opinions, I'm just like, I know people who kind of feel that way. I know people who feel like, Kavanaugh. I know people who feel like Gorsuch. I know people who feel like Roberts. I know people who feel like Coney Barrett, because these people live in this country. So it's not even so much about, are they liberal? Are they conservative? It's who do they represent, and do they represent us? And Coney Barrett represents a lot of Americans, Christians, and a smaller amount, but yes, still Catholics. So sure, fine, have her on the court. Is she going to defy the Constitution? Doesn't seem like it. Seems like she'll be a brilliant justice. And she worked under Scalia, so conservatives are naturally very happy about this. I think the left needs to stop having panic attacks and temper tantrums every time they face some little itty-bitty setback, because for the most part, this country has kept skewing towards the left. Think about how weird that is, that the left has been gaining and making gains and winning on so many of their issues endlessly, and they're just crying and screaming the whole time whenever there's a bump in the road. Chill, dude. Look, it's possible that with Amy Coney Barrett, they do overturn past decisions. I don't think that would be the case based on what they say about Amy Coney Barrett's focus on stare decisis. I'm not a lawyer. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe the conservatives come in and they just overturn everything. I just don't see that being the case. That would be extreme. There's precedent. There are set standards in these rulings. And I think these justices are intelligent and rational people, and they'll recognize that. Some things might change. They may say, well, that's unconstitutional. So maybe. But you know what? All I can say is this. As I stated just a moment ago, when I see Amy Coney Barrett, I just see an American. And I might disagree with her religious views. Oh, I definitely disagree with her religious views for sure. But I want her to live in peace, and I respect her for her accomplishments. And so there you go. I'm not gonna cry about it. The same is true for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Talk about a trend setter, someone who shattered the glass ceilings. I mean, amazing woman, strong too. You can't deny it. You can disagree with the things she voted on or the things she believed, but don't tell me that as she battled cancer over and over again and she fought through it, don't tell me she was not strong. She became a Supreme Court justice, stronger than most Americans, my respect. But even if I disagree with both of them, I recognize they're Americans. And so all that it really comes down to is vote, vote, vote. Go out and vote. Stop complaining. Stop pretending to be angry. These young people going on Twitter and Facebook being like, yo, Trump, you're whack or whatever, and they don't go vote. You see that cringe TikTok where it's like this young girl and guy, and they're like, hey, Trump, you're so dumb. They start rapping. I'm like, dude, go vote. You're not helping. Go. You lost in 2016, okay? The Senate majority strengthened in 2018. Go and vote. But this is true for conservatives. Don't get complacent. You may be winning now. Go and vote. That's all that matters. Stop smearing people. Stop insulting them. You disagree? Go vote. It's that simple. We'll see how things play out. I wish the best for Amy Coney Barrett. Like I said, she seems like a lovely human being and an admirable and respectable and intelligent human being as well. And I hope she serves this country and the court well. And my respect, my absolute respect and admiration to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and respect to her family, because I believe she did serve this country for a long period of time. Can't we just be like regular people recognizing that in this country, there are some people who believe some things and some people who believe other things, and we're going to argue about it? I can still respect the service. I can criticize the decisions. I can criticize John McCain for 1,000,001 reasons. Man, I don't like that guy. But I'm not going to drag him in death. I understand he was trying to serve this country. I get it. Whatever. I'm a centrist. I'll leave it there. Here comes all the hate from everyone saying you're wrong. I got so many dislikes when I was like, my respect to John McCain, for his service, as much as I disagree with him, because everybody hates that guy. But I'm just trying to be civil. I don't want people to get angry at each other. I want them to just take it to the ballot box, have that vote. That's how we move forward in this country. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastNews. It is a different channel, and I will see you all then.